the latest chapter of One Piece 1072 was absolutely insane. Reading One Piece chapters hasn't made me gasp in a long time. However, the final panel reveals that Stussy is a vampire, a former member of the Rocks Pirates, and a clone. Furthermore, she will betray CP0 by following her own agenda. All of that on one page. I don't think anyone saw that twist coming. Props to Oda. I think this arc has been absolutely crazy the last couple chapters, very reminiscent of what we got in Sabaody, right? We are now at Egghead Island, the beginning of the final saga, the end of One Piece, and I believe it is deviating from the path much like Kizaru did. We have Kuma, a lot of recognizable components, the right ingredients, etc. So it's really cool to see how everything comes together to give us a fresh perspective resembling a roller coaster. Oda certainly succeeded in delivering the surprises and thrills in this chapter. Not to mention, I believe this chapter raises the level of drama and tension overall. Not necessarily for the Straw Hats, which are largely still in use. They don't seem to be overly stressed, though. But in general, what's going on with CP0, the Bonnie Vegapunk situation, and the potential of what possibly occur in the upcoming chapters. I find all of that to be very exciting in that order. This chapter increased the tension in some areas. Prior to discussing CP0, the Seraphim versus the Straw Hats, Stussy's reveal, and other related topics, I first want to discuss Bonnie and Kuma and what the memories revealed may be pointing towards, because this was a subject that was in my opinion less of a hot topic at the time. Why is Vegapunk keeping Kuma's fate a secret from Bonnie? What transpired there, and why did he see to the world everything he knew to be true, his body, his mind, his obedience, etc.? Why did he act in this way? We know that the world government also held Bonnie hostage, so I believe the real answer is Kuma gave it up for the sake of his daughter. Bonnie was a prisoner of the world government. This was revealed at the conclusion of pre-time skip, correct? I believe that Bonnie follows logically if Kuma loves his daughter as much as she thinks he does. Isn't the purpose of Kuma's sacrifice to turn him into a sort of guinea pig by making him do what they want him to do? That, in my opinion, just fits so well. And it coincides exactly with what Vegapunk is saying now, which is that I am unable to reveal the reason why Kuma changed his mind without inflicting harm on you. The limit, of course, it would if Bonnie learned that Kuma changed his mind in order to save her. However, do parents make sacrifices for their kids? That's a big recurring idea all in one, right? You can remember that Belmere did the same thing for Nami and Nojiko for Chopper. One of Oda's go-to plays is this one. I believe the solution lies in the tragic backstories of Kuma and Bonnie, their relationship, and the emotional connection that is developing here in the sense of tragedy. But I do believe that was the solution. Consequently, we can anticipate that. Maybe it's something entirely different, but right now it makes perfect sense to me. I'm incredibly interested to see how that develops. Find out in the following chapters. Ideally, we will get at least some of Bonnie's flashbacks, if not all of them, as well as details about the Kuma side of things, including footage of Kuma attempting to scale the Red Line. It feels very symbolic of, or representative of, the notion of trying to. In a way, it's like how man is trying to rebel against God. It's a fight for freedom, it's a push for freedom attempting to climb this wall. As a result of Fisher Tiger, which was essentially the ultimate representation of freedom of former slavery, rescaling that wall to the land of the gods that once oppressed him, and then freeing everyone else there, we got this idea first. The Straw Hats making the last stop to the top of the Red Line would be the pinnacle, in my opinion. I like to think that some of the final battle will take place at the top of Red Line, the top of Red Line at Marihua. You know, everything collapses, and the time of the Celestial Dragons is effectively over. Kuma's actions at this moment are therefore reminiscent of what Fisher Tiger did and could foreshadow what the Stripes will eventually do at the story's conclusion. Thus, in my opinion, is a fantastic location for it, and I believe that timing it up. At the very least, to begin the conclusion of the story. So, putting that aside, let's talk about the bizarre plot developments that have occurred. Kaku versus Zoro. There is not much to say. Only 2 members of CP0 with Zoan Devil Fruits are known to us, and they are both awakened Zoans. Additionally, there is a group known as the Beast Pirates. It's unfortunate because the designs we've seen so far for the awakened Zoan are awesome. I adore the cloudy appearance. Even Kaku's giraffe form, which I never thought I'd say, kind of looks cool in comparison. Fun to see that Kaku was taken care of by Zoro. He didn't kill him, Stussy did, therefore, he might have been able to continue for a little while. But I'm almost to the point where I wonder if we really needed panels for any of that. I suppose, some action however, I believe that the upcoming setup, which pits the Seraphim against the Straw Hats, is what everyone is most anticipating. However, Zoro, Brook, Sanji, and Franky are now on their way, and we also have 4 Seraphim at our disposal. Stussy causes problems from both sides. It's difficult to predict exactly what she'll try to win, but there are some intriguing matchups coming up. I have no idea who will take on the Boa Hancock Seraphim, but I believe that certain things make perfect sense. The Mihawk Seraphim sparring with Zoro would be like that. A fantastic sneak peek at Zoro versus Mihawk in the future. So, it's difficult to say whether Sanji will face Jim or Kuma. I don't know, maybe Franky versus Akuma. I mean, hopefully these matchups happen, otherwise, you know it's all for nothing. However, I like the notion that Oda appears to be gearing up for conflict. It does seem like he's trying to set up events so that we get some option in the following chapters. Is Kizaru coming for Luffy? That's a matchup. Now, that is how it feels to me. Therefore, unexpectedly great battles are about to take place right around the corner. The big question is, of course, what is going on with Stussy herself and what impact will this revelation have? For the rest of One Piece, right, regarding clones and the development of successful clones so far. Because it turns out that the Seraphim and these New Age, pacifist clone Seraphim are indeed novel, but at this point, they have been working on complete clones for 200 years or something similar. Now it appeared, or at least that is how Mads makes it appear. I believe that Stussy's clone status and other factors play a role. It also connects that loose plot thread that many of us had no idea where it was ever going to go, possibly using the experiments that Vegapunk has been conducting. In the One Piece world, backing and what we do will simply appear to be such random outliers. However, it appears that their prominence is about to increase. The fact that Stussy is a vampire is extremely intriguing because it explains why she is turning against CP0. There are a lot of possible explanations for Stussy's current actions. But the fact that Oda is now revealing that she was a member of the Rocks does lead me to believe that we will eventually get the Rocks. The story will very soon flashback because, in my opinion, the repetition of that name is intensifying at this point. And that conflict between Garp and Blackbeard is about to happen, which is the perfect opportunity to learn more about what transpired. As a result, I believe that things are looking really, really good for a possible Rocks flashback right after the conclusion of the Egghead if Oda is currently dropping more and more tidbits about them. We were therefore in a very exciting situation for One Piece, correct? The doors to a myriad of options have opened. I've heard people say things like, Kid is Shanks' clone, Kid is Rock's clone, and Shanks is Rock's, among other things. I observed Dragon's clone on the Rocks in the stream. At this point, anyone could be a clone. No one is their own personal. Perhaps Kaido and Big Mom will return in clone form for the coming war. Such things are mentioned by others. The Naruto 4th Great Ninja War, in which everyone is brought back to life, was the topic of discussion. Clones could be used to create that in One Piece. It's One Piece. After all, anything is possible. In this story, you can find clones, vampires, Power Rangers, other crazy things. The good news is that everything has been prepared for, sort of established, and built up to in advance. In this arc, Oda is introducing a lot of sci-fi ideas that are really intriguing. Kuma's abilities, the magnitude of his memories, and the dimensions of his soul gave me chills. In science fiction, moral or esoteric concepts are explored by connecting them to scientific principles. Therefore, there is free will, the single identity is present, etc. Thus, I would unquestionably concur in this arc. I believe Oda is able to use many of One Piece's more fantastical elements to demonstrate how the show's dreamlike world functions. As an illustration, consider the notion that devil fruits are the result of dreams. In a way, it makes sense because, after all, memories can take on physical form. If pain can manifest physically, then surely dreams can as well. Oda does appear to be stretching the bounds of what is possible for reality, but he does so in the service of building a consistent, logical framework. Framework for the world of One Piece. Therefore, it is true that dreams do not exist in reality. But who's to say that dreams can't be extracted and manifest like devil fruits in the world of One Piece? Who's to say memories can't be retrieved and recreated? Pudding's devil fruit were previous examples of it, right? Kuma's fruit merely performs the same function in a different way. I'm therefore eager to see more One Piece explanations. Because Oda has been doing it thus far in a way that, in my opinion, makes sense, and feels perfectly in line with how he has already set things up. However, he isn't, I suppose, giving up the intrigue, the romanticism, or the overall fantastical nature of the One Piece world, which isn't too rigidly constrained by logic and science. That has been a lot of fun. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.